They don't walk into a classroom and call it spy school. It begins quietly, almost invisibly. Sometimes it starts with a simple phone call from a number that doesn't exist on any registry. Other times, it is a meeting at a cafe with a person who seems to know just a little too much about your life. The path into the shadow world is never lit. It is chosen in silence behind closed doors, through a process that turns ordinary people into ghosts. Welcome to the Digital Sleuth. Today, we are peeling back the curtain on the most sophisticated mind factories on Earth. We are not just talking about the Cold War era of the 60s. We are talking about how these agencies have evolved into the digital age, merging psychological warfare with high-stakes cyber operations. This is a cybercrime documentary unlike any other, because the greatest hack in history isn't code. It is the human mind. Universities, embassies, and cultural exchanges have always been the hunting grounds. Whether it is MI6 at Oxford or the CIA at an Ivy League, recruitment is subtle, slow, and deeply psychological. But in 2025, the hunting ground has moved. A brilliant student writing a paper on linguistics might get a LinkedIn message from a fake think tank, or a coder who discovers a zero-day exploit might find an encrypted email in their inbox before they even report it to the authorities. They don't know it yet, but someone has been watching. Every agency has its own signature method. The British rely on the charm of conversation and the old boy network, while the Americans use bureaucratic tests and loyalty assessments. The Soviets used ideology to identify those whose hearts beat for the revolution, while the Israelis go for precision, finding people who can live double lives without ever breaking their composure. But beneath all these methods lies the same question they silently ask before making contact. Can this person disappear if we ask them to? Before someone becomes an operative, they are tested, not for strength, but for obedience, emotional endurance, and the ability to lie without flinching. Inside the KGB's old Department 101, or the CIA's farm in Virginia, the goal is psychological neutralization. They take your familiar environment away, piece by piece. No names, no personnel stories, and no external distractions. Only numbers, silence, and observation. This is where the mind factory really starts humming. They use a technique called moral inversion to rewire a recruit's conscience. Imagine being given a simulation where every option leads to guilt. You are told to protect a child, but the only way to do it is to betray your closest comrade for the sake of the mission. The goal isn't cruelty. It is to rewire empathy into a cold calculation. In the modern world of cyber intelligence, this training is absolutely vital. Think about the dark web scams we see today. The operators of these rings aren't always just criminals. Sometimes they are state-sponsored actors, trained to view human emotion as a vulnerability to be exploited. In this cybercrime documentary, we have to look at the overlap between espionage and digital fraud. Agencies now train recruits in cognitive compartmentalization. This is the ability to divide your mind into sealed sections. Your real life, your cover life, and your operational awareness never overlap. It is the same logic used by high-level phishing groups. They don't just send a broken English email. They build legends. A legend in the spy world is a parallel reality. It is a LinkedIn profile with 5 years of history, fake utility bills, and a digital footprint so real that even the person living it starts to believe it. The physical training happens in secret cities. The CIA has the farm in Virginia, hidden behind the facade of an agricultural research center. The KGB had its secret city on the outskirts of Moscow, while Mossad uses safe houses across Tel Aviv where every inch of space is a test. But the most dangerous training now happens in the digital sphere. Today's spies are trained in cyber camouflage. They don't just learn how to follow someone in a crowded market. They learn how to move through a network without leaving a single log entry. They learn counter-surveillance, spotting when a physical tail is on their back, and spotting when a digital sniffer is on their traffic. Remember the old dead drop, a hidden exchange using a hollowed-out book in a park, in 2025. A dead drop is a hidden folder on a compromised cloud server, or it might be a message hidden within a single pixel of a cat photo on a public forum. This is steganography, the art of hiding data in plain sight. Look at the SolarWinds hack. This wasn't just a hack. It was a massive intelligence operation. The attackers didn't kick the door down. They became the door. They lived inside the system for months. Invisible. Exactly like a sleeper agent in a foreign city, they practiced the ultimate act of invisibility. Not being seen at all while standing in the middle of the room, but there is a cost. We have heard stories of trainees who break during the process. One recruit in Eastern Europe reportedly walked into his evaluation, tore up his alias passport, and said, "I don't know who I am anymore." In the trade, they call the final step the dissolution. You bury your old life completely. Friends, family, and real emotions become liabilities. If you are a cyber operative, your real IP address is your soul, and you can never let it be traced. Spies are not trained to fight wars. They are trained to prevent them, manipulate them, or provoke them. Their greatest weapon isn't a gun. It is credibility. In our world, we call this social engineering. Whether it is an agent befriending a scientist in a hotel bar, or a hacker posing as a recruiter on LinkedIn to deliver malware, the principle is the same. It is empathy without attachment, insight without conviction. It is psychological artistry used to create intimacy and embed loyalty through calculation. Let's talk about major phishing attacks, like business email compromise scams that cost companies billions annually. These are not just technical glitches. They are psychological operations. The attacker studies the target's tone, their schedule, and their stressors. They mirror the victim until the victim feels safe enough to hand over the keys. In the Mind Factory, recruits study the illusion of normality. You learn to be interesting without being memorable. You learn to give people exactly what they want. Validation, belonging, or love, all while extracting their most guarded secrets. Phishing templates use fear conditioning to bypass your logic. They create urgency to force a mistake, which is the digital version of a stress interview. So, we have seen how the ghosts are made. We have seen how intelligence agencies and cybercriminals use the same Mind Factory techniques to bypass firewalls. The question is, how do you protect yourself? If a professional operative is trained to be invisible, how do you see them as the digital sleuth? I have spent years analyzing these patterns. Here is your anti-Mind Factory protocol. First, practice zero trust emotionally. If an email or a message creates a sudden, intense feeling of fear or urgency, pause immediately. That is an emotional hook. Second, verify out of band. If a high-level contact or your bank reaches out, never use the link they provide. Contact them through a completely separate and verified channel. Third, digital hygiene is mental hygiene. Use hardware security keys like YubiKeys. They are the only thing that can stop a legend from stealing your access, because they cannot trick a physical key. Finally, audit your digital footprint. The Mind Factory scouts you based on what you share. If you reveal your stressors and your personal habits, you are handing them the blueprint to manipulate you. Inside the Mind Factory, they tell recruits, you will never be known for what you do, only for what you prevent. It is a lonely existence. The greatest spies die in anonymity, and the greatest cyber defenders are the ones whose names you never hear because the hack never happened. In a world that feels increasingly chaotic, these agencies offer a sense of belonging, but it comes at the cost of your identity. Whether these organizations protect us or control us is a question that divides even those who serve inside But for you, the answer is simpler. Knowledge is the only shield that doesn't break. If you found this cybercrime documentary eye-opening, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. We are going deeper into the dark web next week, and you will not want to miss it. Stay vigilant. Stay encrypted. And remember, the most dangerous code is the one written for your mind. I am the digital Sleuth. I will see you in the shadows.